So first off, this is when the hobbits met that orc from Lord of the Rings, and it capped them inside of a hill right after they fought Starmers, markets, potatoes, and a wraith found them, and then they ran up a hill, and an orc with a sword equal to the Power Rangers Goldar killed them on a hill, but instead they took Boromir and they got away. So that's the data point from point A to point B where the hobbits effed up by A, taking the ring from Gandalf, stealing something in a field, and having a wraith come after you, and you run, and then up a hill, an orc equal to Goldar caps you, but takes Boromir that Aragorn has to slay to get Goldar out of there. And Aragorn is a king equal to what Legolas was. And their 2 data points equal to the hobbits are they smelled the soil in the ground and said orcs have been here. That was the ranger, Aragorn. And then right after that, an elf says, look at the sky. It's been bloodshed last night. And it was red skies in the morning with Aragorn and a troll. After Boromir died because he got slayed by this orc that was Goldar on a hill where the hobbits got away because Aragorn came. So those are the human and the elf's 2 data points. And then Legolas that same night at Helm's Deep slides on a shield down a staircase shooting arrows and just killing like 12 orcs with a troll that kills like 7. Who later in a different scene, its only other data point is in its gold mine where it caps a whole bunch of orcs. And then secondly, where his other guy that he knows, this other troll, is in Dynasty Warriors capping orcs like 12 at a time, yelling out the troll's name, but he's not there. That's in like the 3rd movie where Aragorn's the king, and that shit's happening after Helm's Deep, where Aragorn and Legolas slay a whole bunch of people. I mean orcs that are elves turned bad into like what in Mortal Kombat is the not race, but the humans that are equal to the humans that are alive. It's their clone. And in Microhead 4-H, they do the song called Hello My Clone. And if I sat on here, it would be like in South Park where the hamster goes up a person's a-hole. But if it was a beaver and I sat on here and didn't look, or a skunk, any type of rodent, it's all equal to a hamster, right? So that whole movie in South Park, show, it's like 10 minutes where a hamster has a narrative going up a person's you-know-what. It would have been like for a split second, that entire moment that I just explained from Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit to the man, like that reaction, where those 2 things happen, like the 4 data points, where a human's a king and a hobbit has a ring given to him by like a wizard who's a human size, and the hobbit then like finds a wraith and then finds an orc equal to Goldar, but the human's there to kill it. So Goldar is like the size of a humanoid, right? If it's a blue baboon the size of an avatar, but you know what I'm saying? A baboon humanoid versus an avatar, if they're both blue. That's what Goldar is, but he's got on like gold, like shielding and like swords, wings off of armor. That's essentially Tekken with the guy who has like the wings versus the other guy who has wings. Like one episode of the show Gargoyles, I watched that as a kid. I watched the Monster Show on Nickelodeon and the Gargoyles, so they both would have had adaptations. And the Facehugger on the back of this guy online, his podcast he shows up on because he's an artist. It's the band I know, but then I looked up when I was an adult, and they're actually probably the best that I've seen in his genre, aka alternative. What Marilyn Manson made alternative, industrial alternative. This guy, Wednesday 13, is just alternative. It's probably the best. And so he's on this podcast, and he talked about one, starting kids early, and he lives in the south below the Mason-Dixon line. It's like we start them early down here. And that's what something in his band, they got a fight in like a hotel. It's like a conference they had. And this guy got in a fight with like a foreigner because it was something stupid. And Wednesday 13 already said something stupid, so you know they're probably dumb. But he's probably the best alternative that's happened because he capitalized off Marilyn Manson. And he's still going same as Manson, but some people like Manson more than me. Like this chick Ashlyn inside Superior, but she came from Ashland and her name's Jalen. But then a different Ashland and Grafton. The only way I can recognize her is how someone sees Devorah. It's like she has exoskeleton skin that's yellow, and she's a humanoid, so she's obviously like an insect shit, right? But this one human named Ashley, but her nickname is Ash, and she wears the name tag, but she's went to the Little Caesars instead of like her back stocking at my job, where she usually was. But they kept calling her name up front like she's still there. Haven't seen her in like 2 weeks since I was like eating with her the first time. There's been two females that I ate with and it was normal and kind of funny because I liked how she was eating, so she probably liked how I was eating. And I asked her about the last time I saw her, other than today, and I've seen her on the same road other times. But no, she walks to Pick and Save in Little Caesars. I go to Pick and Save. Other than Jalen is Ashley. And it's funny because Jalen that I met in Superior, she lives in Ashland. That's where she came from. So I came from like Shelburne and Grafton. She came from Ashland. And then she blocked me on Facebook, and I've never seen her since because we met up north in Superior. And she's never come down to Ozaki, aka Grafton. And there's this guy in Grafton who runs Ozaki County, Jason Wenzel. I don't know how long he's going to be the chair for. But there's guys in Connors who say if they're running reasonably that I'm only going to be in Congress 3 years. Because there's other guys who've been in it for more than 9, and he's paying people like Carrie Lake to not run. Then he has to quit his job because she recorded him. But as far as Jalen, she said that I raped her and I didn't. So if you've ever had someone say that about you, it's not funny. And that's the last time I saw her. I saw her 3 times after she said that about me. And I'll say this on record. But as far as that goes, I know another guy in Grafton who's been in jail because when he was a lot younger than college, he had met someone who was not in college. And then he's been in jail in Alaska for like 8 years. I'm not going to talk about him because his sister is married. Not really, but aka engaged. How many people after you're 18 know who say they're engaged? I know at least 3. And it's taking me 34 years to say that confidently because I really know 4. I saw this girl named Opal downtown and she wanted to hug me, and I think we like did something like with our hands. In any case, she's a ginger who I met in high school, and she had a sweetheart in high school because I was in basketball and I met her boyfriend. She went to our games, but she wanted to hug me downtown. And this was prior to the event of 534-024 where I saw the other girl who used to drive me to school named Nikki, and she was my neighbor, but she like just drove me because I used to take the bus in Vermont, but she wanted to drive, and I knew her friends because I had done basketball, and Andy was in the basketball team, along with... Oh, and Andy got washed up quick, like he looks like garbage. He got married early, and so after that is like Opal never probably seen Andy since high school, so when she seen me, she was like funny because I saw her last time on our class reunion, and it was the same way that we've seen each other, like at basketball games at high school, but I never talked to her. On record in high school, this is what I'm talking about, this was girls. Oh, I know what's on the girls basketball team. And so like they was basically at the same game that I was, and one time I sat behind one and she wanted me to put my arms on her shoulders. No, she put like she was leaning back on legs. She was sitting in the front seat bleachers. You know what I'm saying? We was from Shelburne. We was friends on fucking MySpace or some shit, and also AOL. But then Facebook, we never made it. But at the same time, that's what she did. Kendra Wilkins. She told me on AOL that her mom was, and it might have been, Austin Powers' girlfriend in his movie. I was tripping out that night. She was having a sleepover, and she was probably trolling me because one time Kendra and I was at Pizza Putt in Vermont, and was underneath the pyramid, and she was there, and she coaxed me into it, and it was like an igloo made out of paper mache. And so I went in there with her, and so we just hold hands, and it was in the complete dark for like 3 minutes. And so after that, I was tripping out because, like, I don't know how I got to Pizza Hut. I don't know how Kendra coaxed me in by crawling, and then prior to that, told me that Austin Powers' girlfriend in his first movie, Felicity, was her mom, and I knew her dad was divorced. So, other than that, there's one other ginger guy who I never met again. The most ginger family in Vermont, Kendra Wilkins, if you watch this. Ethan and his little brother who was ginger. Not the Ethan you liked on the soccer team, but I think it was another ginger guy named Ethan and younger than me, and he had me over for a sleepover. And other than Kathleen in Vermont, she emailed me at her sleepover over Facebook. Might have been AOL. It's probably, yeah. Kathleen Talbot. No, not, that was a different Talbot in Vermont. I knew Talbot's brother and her, and I went to like a concert and I blew him down, but whatever that means. She wanted to dance at the same time, but I was trying to blow it down with her brother. The Tabbits, we both friend on Facebook. I'm not talking about y'all's. It was, don't look up Kendra Wilkins. She took me into an igloo in the dark and held my hand at Pizza Putt. And then Caroline and I went into like a hotel in Grafton. And Kendra Wilkins knows Caroline Carpenter. And this is why we hung out, I think, because then Kendra and I went to a movie and held hands at 51st Dates, and then I broke up with Caroline the next day, and Tyler called and said Caroline was like throwing stuff at the play practice, and I wanted to break up with her. I took her after school and grabbed her, like, didn't grab her, but you know, in school we did grab each other. She did it first, and so then she was so happy to see me because I was going up to her like after school. And so then I was like, we have to break up. And she was like, why? I'm like, I took her aside like to these benches, you know what I'm saying, in front of the bay windows. I was like, I don't know why. And then like I left. And then, you know what I'm saying, Tyler Colvin said that same day, right after school, she has play practice because they were doing a play. I don't know which one. I was never in the plays, but I went to a few of them because they played at basketball at the same place on stage in Shelburne, across the street from our Little League fields. Brian Thomas lived near, and that's where our high school was. I mean, our grade school. And she went to that play practice stage, and the same place where this guy on Max on Lawn, I think he was in my neighborhood with Amber. You don't know Amber, but she was like down the road. She made me paint her room because she was new. And we lived in the same neighborhood with Taylor Lemanik. He moved out, but then, you know, everyone came trick-or-treating that place where I first started smoking cigars, aka whatever that might mean. And then Taylor City went and he stole stuff from Strawberry Lips 45, which my mom ran in her house because her mom was like divorced too, I think. Yeah, and Strawberry Lips 45 was my AOL friend I went to school with, and then she went to a different school, and she came back to the school, and she said no when I asked her to do it. And my mom ran into their house one time. We were hanging out, and Taylor said one time he stole you know what from her in her bathroom, and then like his brother and her mom was so sketch, Stephanie Lash, and I know Ariel Lash is her cousin. That's why we're still friends on Facebook. It was just people in Vermont, you know what I'm saying? Stephanie Lash was in our neighborhood. Her mom thought I was down. I'd go over there with my bike. My mom found her bike there, and Ryan Michaels would go over there too. It would just be like crash the fuck out with Stephanie. I had dreams about her basement one time. We're at the bottom of the staircase, so it was raw. No, but Stephanie Lash had a friend over once, and she was like kicking it with me at least 3 times. And Derek Liebert or some shit knew her, and later said that like they were crashed out too. And we all went over to Derek Liebert's house and his brother one time. I called him for some shit, and he was like, "This is sketch. You should do this again." This is back in time in home phones. I've never had a home phone after that shit. And Derek Liebert got sketched the F out because he was on fucking parole or some shit, because he would walk around our neighborhood getting drunk with his older friends. They're like 3 years older than me, same age my older sister. But Derek Liebert and his brother, Ryan Michaels, and then Stephanie Lash, all these people who I've known on Facebook, but AOL instantly. Instant message AOL. And Kristen Blodgett, she was the 3rd or the 4th or the 5th person in our neighborhood. Kristen Blodgett, Keller Lemanik, Ryan Michaels, Derek Liebert, Stephanie Lash, and Ariel Lash is her cousin. I've never went to her house, but Caroline Carpenter, I should have taken her to Halloween trick-or-treating at the neighborhood because I took Bennett D there. He's from effing football. We met later. We went to camps and shit, but we're best friends, but Taylor liked Bennett more than I did. And that's where Taylor like stopped being friends with me. But that's where Bennett. But even Evan Misha and Charlotte, he was with Bennett and Carl Schenker too. I wanted to mention Carl Schenker because one time he was trolling Dan Forth with me. And Dana Forth is so funny. I've been friends with him on Facebook. I met him after MySpace, but Carl Schenker, Evan Misha, we both still friends on Facebook. I think. But they're from Charlotte with Bennett D. And Bennett D I did take to my neighborhood for Halloween. I took a Charlotte guy. Everyone goes to Halloween on our neighborhood in Vermont. The one with the names I just listed out. But Chris and I never trick-or-treated with her. I trick-or-treated with very few girls. And so when I went to Wisconsin, I trick-or-treated with one ASAP, Kristen Kirschberg. We were friends on Facebook. She had 2 different boyfriends. I sat behind her in class, which was in the class with Kate Zaronsky. And so the teacher kept calling Kate Zaronsky's name out. It's a sketch now because she's dead. Just made the wrong decision. Which led to another guy, Tim Schuster, to die because he thought he was sick with it. Because they called the class off. They're like, everyone can go home now. So Tim, I guess, took it wrong and started taking pills and went into his hot tub and died. And that was hard because I was Kate Zaronsky's locker neighbor, and when her best friend was her locker too. They're both my locker neighbors. She was at her locker when she died the next day, and she started crying and I had to leave. It was me, Kate, Michaela, and then Jake Castrom. And we was like 3 down the road. So I was in between Jake Castrom and then the girl who died with Michaela Zaronsky. I mean, Kate Zaronsky and Michaela, whatever. And Michaela's brother died. So no, I felt so bad for her because her brother got punched in the head at a wedding in Wisconsin. And he died. And so then that was after her locker friend died. And I had to watch her the first day back at school crying. Because, like, that happened. But then also her friend, Kate Zaronsky, like, Schuster couldn't handle that shit and he fucking offed himself. And that's sad because I sat on the curb with him before out